Estamos de regreso aquí en Zona Politica. It is with great pleasure that we welcome Congressman Peter Roskam. He's Republican for Illinois. He is a deputy whip in Congress, part of the all-important leadership in Congress at this moment. Congressman, how are you, sir? Good to have you here on our show.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be with you today.
Oh, well, for us, it's an honor and a pleasure, Congressman. And for our public here on Univision America Radio, the issue of immigration reform is all-encompassing, all-important. What is the status of immigration reform currently in Congress today? I hear to say that there are some and there are many Republicans who are in favor of immigration reform, but there may be a split as to whether some want it to be done piecemeal and some want it to be taken up whole. How do you see it?
I've spent the past 7 years in Washington, D.C., and I represent a constituency outside of Chicago and certainly want to see our immigration system updated and modernized, and it's an incredible opportunity for us to create a great deal of energy and buoyancy in our economy if we take a broken immigration system that nobody is satisfied with and fix it. So the challenge is, in a big country as big as over 300 million people, how do you do that? And I'm somebody who thinks what you do is you break it down into different components. I have seen what happens when you try and do bills all at one time, and Washington, D.C. is a town where if you want everything, oftentimes you get nothing. And so I am of the opinion that if you break it down, you can build consensus and move forward from there. There's an opportunity that we have as a country right now in that our entire country is dissatisfied with the status quo.
Right.
There's nobody that likes the system as we have it. And so the question is, how do you move forward? And to the extent that both the House and the Senate are actively taking this up, I think is a very good sign.
What are the components that you think need to be addressed of greater immediacy?
So I think there's 4 components. And if you think about the House of Representatives, for example, there's 435 members of the House of Representatives. And in order to pass a bill out of the House, you need 218 votes. Well, there's 218 votes for a secure border. There's a different 218 votes for a guest worker program, a different 218 votes for high-tech visas, and a different 218 votes to deal with people who are here now and want to get right with the law. And I think where it becomes, we become unduly complicated is if we look for the same 218 people to agree on the whole thing. Now, I'm not suggesting that it doesn't happen in totality, but what I believe is if you break this down into 4 components or more or less, but you follow me, you break it down, you make it easier for a bill or a solution to get through the House, and you have more consensus and a higher level of satisfaction all the way around.
You said it, just to get it right, border security is an important issue. Temporary worker visas is another issue. Dealing with those who are living without documentation in the country right now. And I'm sorry, the 4th issue?
The 4th would be, high-tech visas.
Okay.
In other words, for the engineers and so forth that need to be coming in order to satisfy some of the high-tech needs. Those are 4 basic components of an immigration system that needs to be dealt with. But I'll tell you, immigration is one of those issues. Every time I go to a briefing, I'm learning something substantively new. Let me give you an example. 40% of the people that are here without proper paperwork are people that are here from overstaying their current visa.
Right.
Now,
that's correct.
Most folks don't know that. You know what I mean? Most folks think that people are coming in from our southern border and overstaying or coming in without any documentation whatsoever. So this national debate that we're having, I think, is a very good thing, and it's a national debate that is raising the level of conversation about immigration, and it's also raising it in the context of economic expansion and job creation and the entrepreneurship and the entrepreneurial spirit that immigrants bring to the United States. And that's been our history as a nation. That's one of our great strengths as a nation, and we now need to figure out a way to play to our strength, that is to have an immigration policy that's rational and fair and predictable, keeps us safe, but welcomes people that want to be here.
And not only that, I mean, I think there's something else that we have to that we can't ignore, and that we have an aging population. We've got baby boomers who are beginning to retire in larger and larger numbers. Immigration will help us balance out the fact that we have an aging population, and it's a population that's going to have very important and critical needs. We see that happening in Europe already. The idea of immigration in order to keep our population a little younger is important.
I agree wholeheartedly. There was The Economist, which is a British magazine, a few years ago, had a cover. And on the cover, it said, fix Europe's pension problem, ? Have more babies and work longer.
That's right.
So to our, we're a declining population, not as fast as Europe, but we're a declining population. And think about all of these questions that we've been talking about for the past couple of years as a country. Medicare will be insolvent in 12 years. Social Security is looking at insolvency several decades out, but that's all based on an old model, and these old models was, a certain percentage of workers supporting retirees. And to your point, it's got all these boomers, 10 to 11,000 baby boomers every 24 hours who are retiring in this country, who are in desperate need of younger workers to come in and support them, and so that these programs are sustainable in the long run. So it's a winning calculus for the United States to have a smart immigration policy that frankly welcomes people that affirmatively want to be here and actively participate in really what is the greatest country in the world.
Do you think, for myself, and I know that I speak for Univision, helping those who are undocumented, who are living here, who pay fines, pay due, as you say, want to get in on the right side of the law, do you see possibilities, do you see a chance that they are going to be included in immigration reform this year?
I absolutely see that as a possibility, but here's what I do know. The more I've been around, the more you can get people to a point where they're able to have a good, healthy, thoughtful discussion on folks that are here that don't have their paperwork, if they have a sense that the border is actually secure. And right now, the weakness of the whole debate is Americans don't, by and large, feel like their border is secure.
And we've got to get that argument, and we've got to get that side of the argument right.
Yeah, and so I think once we do that, then you basically take a lot of the edge out of the argument and a lot of the edge out of the discussion.
Congressman Peter Roskam, Republican for Illinois, thank you, sir, for joining us today on Univision America.